our bodies, and in doing so, I'm going to put his wrist in the web of my hand. Then when I rotate up, I'm going to bring it about eye level, and reach up my free hand and grab him right here on his hand, with the palm of my hand. Then I'm just going to kind of pull him into me. Then I'm going to kind of lean into him so I create a bend in his arm here. And then I'm just going to slowly turn my wrist towards his center line, just like this. This action here. As I'm kind of leaning into it. It's not a strength or using your entire arm, you're just kind of rotating your wrist. Next techniques are going to be from someone coming up and shoving you with the hand or even both hands. First one we'll do from one hand. Your attacker comes out and he pushes you. Simply move out of the way of his force, and while you do that, simultaneously reach out and grab his wrist. And then with the other hand, take it and just grab onto his fingers. Now it doesn't matter if you only get one finger or all four, you can still use the technique. So from here, just apply pressure. By applying pressure, I mean take his fingers and push them straight back towards his body, not this way or this way. So we're going to apply pressure down, and I'm going to put him in some pain. As soon as I want to continue the technique, I'll let off the pressure a little bit and let him relax up. And that way I'm not fighting his strength anymore. See, right now he's fighting me. When I let up, there's not as much pressure. I'm going to reach down here with this free hand now and kind of move this elbow out of my way. This next technique also, defense against a push. Same setup, you reach out and grab his wrist and control his fingers. Again, apply the painful pressure. Instead of this time reaching here and going behind him, we're going to reach out, still continue to manipulate this elbow, but we're going to push it in front of his body. When we do that, we're going to take these fingers here and start taking them towards our armpit area and stick them underneath there, lock them in, and then pull this elbow back towards us. From the other side, it looks like this. Here, apply pressure in front, stick it in there, and you have a painful technique. This hand here needs to pull back towards your body. You can also reach up here and grab onto his fingers while you're applying. Another one from a push, another variation. Same setup. This time, I'm just going to take my hand underneath here and lift him up. And notice how he wants to go on his toes. He's off balance here. I can walk him around from here, but most likely I'm going to want to transition with another hand where I have a little more control. Just like this. Again from this side. Push down and bring him up. Change over your hands. A variation of this, when you have him here, and you've got him in this position here, this wrist twisting motion, come up here with the web of your hand and grab his thumb and put your fingers behind his wrist and apply pressure. Extremely painful. And you can hold him here all day basically. The next technique is going to be from a chest grab. Here the guy has grabbed my lapel, my jacket. I'm going to reach up here and post his hand that's grabbed me so it doesn't move anymore. I want to keep it there. While I do that, I'm going to come in here Rotate her, shoot my elbow back through, ensuring he keeps his arm bent. Use my hand up here on his chest region and then straighten out my arm. That's extremely painful there. Now notice when I do this, I'm kind of leaning over a little bit because I want him to kind of lean towards me also. That's going to bend this arm. And then I stand up straight. Notice he's off balance. He's on his toes here. There's not a lot of pain yet, but he's tied up very tightly. And he's leaning backwards. He's lost his balance. Now I'm just going to kind of hold on to this wrist here and straighten my arm. Again. Now we're going to do some defenses from the cross wrist grab. Here he's grabbed my wrist with his opposite hand here. I'm just going to reach up here and put my free hand on top of his hand so he can't let it go. From here I'm going to shoot through this way and do about a 180-degree pivot spin on my left foot. Just like this. And from here I'm going to complete my 360-degree circle by stepping out again, stepping on my left foot. Again. One more time. On this side. Grab, simply reach in and go. Complete your 360-degree turn. Now from here there's a couple things that you can do. You can either control him this way, or you can take him to the ground, to the rear this way. Or you can take him to the ground, to the front this way. Up. Or you can apply and hold this, going to take him down under a little more control, ready for handcuffing. I reach behind his arm here and throwing this hand up here and the knife hand on top of the back portion of his neck. And then I'm going to take this hand that I've got right here still, and I'm just going to continue the twisting motion. And once I feel that he's in pain, I just kind of go down on my right knee and hold him there. And now I'm in a better position to handcuff. From the two hand, same techniques apply. We can go here with this one and in. We can also do a variation where we just take our hand up on top of his and re-grasp here, and we'll twist here. Again, notice the footwork. My left foot didn't do any stepping, it just did turning motion. Now, key points in this thing here are you have to be prepared to do something with this once you have it. You tie him up into a locking technique like this, or take him all the way to the ground. And I'll show you why. Here I turn my palm up, re-grasp here, and continue the motion. Now, from here, if I haven't already decided what I'm going to do and I end up here, he can turn out. And the reason why he could turn out was, see how high this hand is? The key to this technique is to have this hand, this joint right here, lower than his shoulder. By pulling it down here and then reaching up and grasping, he's off balance. And now, if you want him to go down, he's going to go down. If you want to walk him, you can walk him from here. Just continue to walk around. And as soon as you want him to go down, just down. From the other side. Two-hand grasp. Simply re-grasp his hand underneath the palm, pivot on your left foot, and down. And from here, I can apply pressure on this hold here by pulling up on the wrist and pushing back here on the elbow. I also can just go ahead and sink my knee in his rib cage while I do that and kind of pull up a little more on his wrist this way. See how it's coming up now? He wants to stand back up. And if I wanted him to stand back up, I just tell him up. And then I still have the lock. And I can still walk him. Okay. One more time. Re-grasp and underneath. Up. This time I'm going to do a kind of a chicken wing like a lot of police officers like to use, or they call it a hammerlock also. Here I'll do it from my wrist being grabbed. I'm going to rotate my hand out again here, and as I do I kind of create a knife hand and come back down on his. And that's to do a couple things. That's to break his hold, and that's to get his body in the position that I need it. So when I do this, this free hand simultaneously comes up here and gets underneath and breaks the straightness of his arm. You want to bend his arm here. Then I'm just going to shoot through this way. This hand's going to come back here. Notice my hand's coming. It's not here up on his shoulder. It's not on his bicep or tricep region, but it's right back here in the joint. Then I'm just going to kind of turn about a 180-degree turn this way. And now, it's right here where I want this technique, and he can't get out unless I let him bend over. Now, to keep him from getting out, reach up here on his face and pull him into you. Now what I want to do is torque down with my left hand that's inside his joint and kind of raise up with my left elbow. Here. Very thing. And this is a good technique for walking somebody. Just notice how he's leaning backwards. Anytime you can get a guy to lean back with his head back, he's off balance. And I'm just going to take him and I can walk him. Very good technique. If you have to, you can attack one of the nerves here, the mastoid. You can come underneath the chin here. You can go to the trigeminal nerve at the nose. So there's a lot of things. Again, you just have to experiment. From this side, I'm reaching under here, and I'm kind of turning the whole time, and I'll just grab his face here. One more time from this angle. Here. And up. Okay, this next technique is a basic wrist turnout. It's probably one of the first techniques of Jiu-Jitsu. Just going to reach up and grab his hand and pull it off. A couple things on this technique is you want to keep in mind is the pinky finger, you should have it right here at the break where his wrist bends. You don't want to have it down here on the wrist, and you don't want to have it too high. You want to have it about right there. And your other hand should be positioned with your thumb right here on about the third knuckle end. And you're not going to kind of push this way because that's a strength contest. What I want to do is just kind of, in a nice tight circle here, just kind of put it this way, and then with my other hand I can reach up. And now, I can take him a couple ways, but see how he's off balance here? If I'm back like this, he's not off balance yet. But here, he's off balance. And what I like to do for this technique, you can either throw him this way, just by stepping out of the way, or you can just press down on these knuckles here with the flat palm of your hand, this way. He wants to go right down. It's extremely painful. So you can even use this from the lapel grab. Just reach up here and peel it off. Here. Another variation of kind of a wrist twisting motion is, again, I'll make a straight hand here. Reach over here and grab onto his hand as I rotate up this way, again on the outside. Now I'm in kind of the same configuration I was in one of the earlier techniques, but my hands have kind of changed up here. Now, here what I need to do is I want to come at him as I'm going down with the pressure. And what's creating the pressure is two things. One, this hand here is doing this torquing motion there, and the other, this hand is helping out. And see how his fingers are still up here? That's why I want to keep his hand there, because when I lift my wrist, that also wants to make his fingers move, which in turn moves his wrist. And then this knife hand kind of goes down, just like this. Here and down. And you can control him from here. You can bring him back up. Again, he wants to raise his elbow to relieve the pain and come into something like this. If he does, just bring him back this way, push down his elbow, and he'll go down. Reach over, knife edge, in and down. Let's work something from a rear grabbing technique. Here he grabs me, kind of as I'm walking, maybe I'm strolling somewhere. I'm just going to turn around and rotate my palm towards me and expose his arm here for me. And when I do this, I'm going to come in for this technique. Now keep in mind, if a guy grabs me and means to pull me somewhere, then he's going to have a tight grab, and this is going to work or it's going to peel out, just like it did. So if it comes out, no problem. I can strike. If he keeps it in there, I'm just going to reach in here like this and grab it. And I can hold him this way. Or I can take him to the ground. Just like this. So one more time from that side. Baseball grab, I just rotate my palm up and kind of turn this way. Now, the footwork is extremely important in all these techniques. Notice my left foot really doesn't go anywhere, but just kind of pivots. I'm going to come here like this. My left foot still pivots. Then now I'm going to change up and pivot on my right foot. The other side. Palm up here and down. A lot of times you don't want to keep your opponent on his back. Obviously, he can kick you or he can punch you. So if he is in this position, the only time you want to leave him in this position is if you are creating some pain on him, and that would be something like this. Now there's no strength, and you can see he wants to tap out. I'm going to show you, go back and want to show you a variation of this technique here. When you come up, if you can get just 3 fingers or even 2 fingers, females, this is a good thing to do because although this technique doesn't take a lot of strength to accomplish, this creates a lot more pain, and someone who has more pain tolerance is more susceptible to this than you would you grabbing the entire hand or fingers. So 2 fingers, just kind of step in, trap his fingers, and then down. And from here you can even take them a number of different ways and come back up. You go back down. You come back up here. You go into locking technique here. All kinds of things. You go back down and control them. Again. Here, I'm just going to grab a couple fingers and down. Come back up in this twisting motion into our technique here. And down. From a high grab on your jacket or your gi, I'm going to reach over here and turn his wrist, and I'm going to rotate it about, what, 90 degrees, I guess? And I'm just going to rotate it so his pinky faces up now. And when I do that, I'm going to come over and really reach up high with this free arm and kind of bury my armpit above his hand and above my fingers. Now watch this. I barely moved, and it's extremely painful. The high sleeve grab or high chest grab from this, I'm going to reach over here and just kind of turn it. Now I'm not going to try to get any fancy tight grip or wrist lock on this thing. I'm just going to kind of move it out of the way. So I can just kind of keep my hand this way and then up. Extremely fast and painful. Now here I want to try to work and get this hand in a better position maybe, or something like this if I want to hold him on the ground. Again, just kind of reach up and down. Now, notice when I did this, I didn't do this and try to get him in a technique like this. I need to keep my shoulders as square to his arm, or as perpendicular, I would say, to his arm as I can. Here. It's not here. That would be more like an arm lock. An elbow locking technique where I would come here. Okay, another grab might be from the mid-sleeve region. You can do a couple things here. You can do what's known as a circular arm lock, where you pull the opponent into you and upset his balance, and in doing so you'll wrap this arm here around and get him into a circular arm lock. That's a good technique. And to get him to the back, you can just either throw him back this way and off balance him, or you can just kind of help him go back and go down with him. Again, the mid-sleeve grab, just kind of pull him back. Now if he okay, what's the worst that can happen? You pull back and he lets go, and you throw something else. Pull back, he's still there, and in, down. Sleeve, pull back, and in. This next one is a little more advanced, it takes a little more footwork. Again, it can be used from the mid-sleeve grab region. Notice, as soon as he grabbed me, I rotated and put my hand up on top of his arm to kind of control it. And then I'm going to come in here and take the palm of my hand and just kind of push up on his elbow joint as I turn and pivot on my right foot here. And his elbow here is in a locking position. You can just take a finger or a hand or something and just kind of hold it down there. Technique from a low sleeve grab. Again, these are all you're relying on the fact that he's going to continue to grab, because if you can just come up and do this and he lets go, then there's no problem. Now you're back into a fighting stance where you're going to throw a technique. But we want to try to, if he starts it with you, if he starts the confrontation, we want to try to finish with the least violent means is necessary. I'm going to pull him here. Again, this yanking motion, when he grabs me and I do this, it upsets his bounce. I'm square and I have my own bounce. I'm going to kind of reach in here now, and the pulling motion here upsets his bounce and also brings his elbow towards me. I'm going to reach up underneath here with my arm and just kind of peel this elbow back this way towards my center. When I do that, I'm going to shoot this arm here back behind his head. And then from there, I can come in here like this and grab, and I have another joint locking technique here. I can just keep him here like this. Again, I can go back down with him here, create more pain, come out with it here like this. So again, pull it in, shoot through, and back. You can even, here. One more time. Another defense against a straight wrist grab. We rotate here, and like before we were grabbed on the elbow to come in for the arm bar lock or chicken wing, I'm just going to rotate it here and grab it now. Then I'm going to reach in here and kind of post his elbow and manipulate his hand up this way. Here. When doing that, I'm going to come up in here, place his elbow underneath my arm joint here, and get him into a tight lock. Better angle for you. There's a couple ways you can do this when you get here. You can go here, and then you can transition behind his thumb and turn it out this way. And when you have this, you just stick his elbow back in there, and that's also painful. So again, you're in here like this. You got one hand, reach in between the web of his hand where his thumb is, rotate his fingers this way. Say a collar grab, someone grabs you from the collar from the rear. As soon as you grab and you feel the pulling motion, first thing you have to do is determine which hand he's grabbed you with. Simply by looking back, first of all, to see who in the heck has grabbed you, and now you understand this guy is an aggressor. So you just turn around here, and as I'm turning, this arm's coming underneath here because it's going to strike his arm that's grabbing. Here. While I'm doing that, I'm going to reach up here with this other hand and kind of hold on to his hand. Because as soon as I strike, if he goes to let go, I want to have him. Here. a nice good forearm shot. Now, you don't necessarily have to come out in this pretty wrist lock here. You can just kind of be here when you're doing this. And if he's a fairly strong guy, I hadn't let go yet, you crack an elbow shot in there, maybe a knee shot, and then you go. Or you come up here like this, take him down this way, and kind of hold on to him. You're being grabbed, elbow shot, maybe a knee shot, peel it off, another elbow, down. From a two-hand front choke, when this guy comes up and chokes you like this, all his concentration is on these hands that are choking you. So you can't come up here and try to peel this off and get a technique with him thinking about him choking you to death. So do something to distract him. Come up here, anything that you can do maybe to get him off you. And you can go here with this, you can come over this way, you can tie up both wrists like this, and then come into here. So again, I'm being choked. Do something to distract. You can a knuckle punch into solar plexus works good. You can go into right above the solar plexus region here. You can just tap his groin. A lot of guys, if you go to tap their groin, they're going to jump back. It's a natural action. Tap his groin, then you can peel off. You can come into other things here. Go here like this, and here, back up here, straighten back up, come in here like this. Okay, another technique, another defensive technique from the cross arm grab. Opponent grabs you, rotate your hand up like this, and when I do this, I'm going to grab, re-grasp. Here I'm going to hyperextend this elbow. And when I do that, I'm not going to just kind of lay it out there. It's a shot. It's kind of a strike technique here. And from there, I'm going to do a 180-degree spin and kind of get him to go in a small circle and land over here. So again, here I struck. And from there, you can finish the technique. Another variation of the cross wrist defensive maneuver. Up here like this, and down. Notice it's the same exact maneuvering as with the knife hand technique from the straight wrist grab. I'm going to reach down here and post this hand so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to turn this up, place it over towards the center line, and down.